How often do you connect with another soul that you can reason with to the point you start proceedings to words of gold that has endless meanings? From the humble beginnings, from the day that he booked me for a show in Kingston at that little pub in 1991 where the electrics were turned off because of the mayhem caused that first time we met and the fans went mental, screaming. That show never happened because of the madness, but he still paid me though, and that showed me he was about his business, so we exchanged numbers and kept in touch and discussed further dealings. Late nights, I was on the phone, ideas exchanged but nothing evolved because I just wasn't feeling he understood what I was about, so we put plans on ice till he upped his game and saw what I was seeing. At that point in my life I was at the lowest I could have been, with family bereavements and a desperate need for some major soul searching to find the real me in 1993, and he patiently waited. But made it obvious he was there for me if I ever needed a friend, then gave me space to deal with my demons but kept checking I was still breathing. Friendship demonstrated. Fast forward 5 years, 1998, and I'm a whole different me. Thanks to a few friends, Mark B included, always checking in on me. Confidence check, mind state check, self-esteem check, hunger check, cash flow, unfortunately not checked. But we were never about that anyway, and then my phone rings. Mark is on the other end, a real friend, still not giving up on me yet, playing me beats down the phone and asking if we could start with these recordings. We talked about a million different things, his trials and tribulations, my mistakes, with plenty of jokes in between to soften the blow of the hardships we were both feeling at the time. And finally, music. After playing me a bunch of beats, it clicked. We're both ready now. He had the production heading in the direction I could relate to, and I was starving because I hadn't eaten properly for years, so we said let's do this. So we hooked up. Hitmen for Hire was born and the public was now made aware we were coming. A few months later, nobody relayed, stabilized our position in the game, then silence, nothing's happening. That's what they all thought. But behind closed doors we were building, making sure the foundation was set before layering brick by brick, cementing the future not just for us but for the whole scene. You catch my meaning? Enter David Laub into the equation, the visionary that saw what we were dealing with and gave Mark the deal that made this all possible. It's coming together nicely now, no more dreaming. Pen to paper, dotted line signed, the album almost complete, the first single, You Don't See the Signs. Now that's an entrance. The warning we weren't messing around, ears were pricked up, now everybody's listening, radio, here we come. Followed by a couple more singles before the album dropped. The vibe all around was changing, it was obvious we were there for a reason. September 2000, that performance for Scratch at the Scala made all the difference. Straight up audience massacred, this was killing season. Wordplay, stroke, source, witness for themselves, this meant the world to the both of us. So up their ante, PR campaigns put in place. Kate Head, amazing. She's the reason for the mass awareness before Harvey took over the campaign and cemented what Kate had started, but we still weren't celebrating, not yet. There's a lot to be done still. Couldn't lose focus. Made a conscious decision to step away from jokers. Mark B and Blade was now all over the radio. The atmosphere was different. Album reviews are incredible. Interviews, radio shows, TV performances. This was like a dream come true for any artist. This was no longer survival of the hardest. Mark was smiling more. I was eating better than I ever had in the past. But regardless, we couldn't take our eyes off the ball. Label personnel went full steam ahead with the promotion for the next single, The Unknown. They were militant. It felt like God himself was involved in the process. Every show we did was magnificent. We were becoming known. Do you know what that feels like? When you've strived your entire life for that dream that's eluded you. Waking up every morning and talking to your reflection in the mirror, but it's no longer that deluded you. Mark was a hilarious dude at the best of times. Spent most of his cash on a girly car. I still think he did that just to make the rest of us laugh. I got to feed my girlfriend and my son with the money we made. But before that, my girlfriend was the reason for my survival. But now that's all in the past. Thank you, Mark. Every show was packed. Fans sang along to most of the lyrics from the album. It was out of this world. Felt like an invasion of a UK rap attack. Rodney P, For Life Cypher, Chester P, Skinny Man, Lewis Parker, Grant Nicholas, Feeder, Grasshopper, Prime Cuts, Mr. Thing, Plus One, Beryl Flow, Tim Westwood, Al Tariq, No Sleep, Nigel. The Unknown being the album title was vital. It symbolized the unification of a country through rap music like it's a music bible. Life changed. Every performance was madness. Crowd surfing like we were some rock band or something. The whole crew was one big family. Hype men, 1XL, Deficits, and Mr. Lex. Our lunatic of a tour manager, Daz. Our engineer, Glenn. Tour DJs, Plus One, Benny G. Wasn't long now. Top of the Pops was looming. We could sense it. This was what we all strived for all our lives. The only difference now was that it was meant to be. One final major concert before it all exploded. At the Mean Fiddler, where I pulled Mark to the side and I asked him, Mark, do you trust me? To which he replied, yes, of course I do, with my life. Second question was, do you believe in me? He said, yes, of course I do, with my last breath. So I replied, just put the needle on the record and make sure the record don't skip and leave the rest to me. I promise you, Mark, tonight is the night our lives change. Just back me up and let me breathe and I'll give it 1,000% of me. He looked at me weird and said, no one can guarantee that, Blade. Don't make promises you can't keep. I told him, Mark, I know my mom's dead, but she's here with us, protecting us. She's standing right beside you as we speak. I know this sounds deep, but listen, she's already told me she'll guide us both through tonight, and by the morning the changes will be seen. I froze and even cried on that stage that night, but saw the crowd reaction and that screwed with my brain mentally, and my mom was there with me. Morning came, phone was off the hook. It wasn't much later that we got the call that the Grant Nicholas remix of You Don't See the Signs was playlisted on pretty much all radio stations. But brother, we achieved what we planned. The promise to each other was kept. Our lives changed, our friendship concrete. Up to that point, every opportunity that came our way could only be compared to raw meat. It wasn't much longer after that when we disbanded. Nothing personal. I just needed to crush a few more demons that had been haunting me over the years since my mom passed. So I went my way, you went yours. That was at the end of 2001. We both worked on solo material, but we were still in touch because real friendships are meant to last. Right up till 2014, we kept in regular contact. Every few days we'd be on the phone just like we were back in the days, because that's how friends act. I said to Mark at some point between 2003 to 2005, I can't remember the exact date, that he should have had kids and his kids should have been best friend with my kids, but that never happened. That's a shame, really, because we promised each other we'd be friends for life because of the journey we traveled together and because of what we achieved through his production and my rapping. Yeah, he was shy and reserved and didn't really say much, well, at least not till he got to know you better. But once you got to know him, he was the practical joker we all loved. He was hilarious and a trendsetter. Okay? Admittedly, he probably wasn't the easiest person to get along with most times, and obviously we had a long friendship and didn't always see eye to eye and had a few differences. But that didn't mean we had to throw away 20 years of building something unique that most people ruin within a few weeks because they're naive and don't understand what the difference is. And excuse me for the next part, but I have to crush another demon now. See, we had a petty argument over nothing, and Mark stopped answering my calls. I left him numerous messages, explaining all he had to do was dial my number so we could clear the air, but I never heard from him, not once, not at all. Over a year of trying, but when every attempt to get in touch went ignored, I finally gave up and went about my business. Then I got the call nobody wants to receive, that Mark had passed away. I was stunned, silent, sat in complete darkness for 5 hours till my son walked in and caught me crying. Didn't want to believe this. See, I'm the type of person that wears my heart on my sleeve. Everything to me is black and white. It's either wrong or right. And what hurts most is that I never got the chance to tell my friend what he really meant to me, and that just don't feel right. I believe in the afterlife. If you can hear me, Mark, I just want you to know you had a friend for life. I'm still here. All the mistakes we both made over the years are irrelevant. Forget them. They don't mean nothing now. I'm still here. That's all I was trying to tell you. You know better than most the life I lived was filled with turbulence, and my answer to everything is let bygones be bygones. You were more of a brother to me than my own brothers, and that must mean something, but how do I tell you that now that you're gone? If you can hear me now, I pray that you found peace. I visualize you up there in heaven with your studio equipment and record collection, and you're still making beats, because that's when you were at your happiest. I hope you get this, Mark. I tried, but it didn't feel right just leaving you with a simple R.I.P., because that's not the type of friendship that we had, so it's not as easy as it seems. Mark, if only you knew how many people reached out to show their respects. Your goals achieved. Your legacy is truly intact and well deserved. You are known, brother. You can rest in peace.